Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with DNR wildlife technician Katie Keene. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah.
So, will you start off by telling me a little bit about what kind of wildlife could the public expect to see maybe when they're out on state trails like this or by the river, anything like that?
You know, a lot of the phone calls we're receiving right now from landowners, for instance, are just spring baby wildlife that they're seeing. They could be birds, nesting maybe on their property, fox, coyotes, and bear. So part of what I work with is messaging, and so bears are one of those topics that really keep us busy at our offices. In Michigan, we have well over 11,000 adult black bear.
Wow.
And below the bridge, we actually have 2,000. So the majority is in the Upper Peninsula, but we still have 2,000 adult black bears in northern Michigan. So you can imagine that kind of gets a lot of phone calls, a lot of interest from people.
So what is the typical situation? Are they seeing them in their yard, out? I mean, we've gotten photos at the station of, bears eating from, bird feeders and things like that. What are the typical situations these people are in?
You hit on it specifically. Bird feeders are kind of that #1 topic that comes up when we talk to landowners about bear. So they may call us because either they have seen the bear or they're concerned. They don't even want the bear around. And so we start with those few questions we have, where do you live? What do you have out in your yard? Just trying to figure out why that bear is drawn to that property. And the bird feeder is the #1 draw. Bears love black-capped sunflower seeds, but they'll also go after any type of bird food, suet feeders, hummingbird feeders. And the problem with that is once bears start that habit, like if they've learned that your property could give them a belly full of food, they're gonna keep coming back, and we can't reverse those habits. So the messages we wanna really get out there is just to help your community by keeping bears at a distance and removing those bird feeders. And remove them for the entire summer. Don't just take them down at night or just here for a few days or a few weeks, but just keep them down. Birds have a lot of natural food out there, so do bears. So let's keep bears out in the woods.
So it seems like we just learned to keep wildlife in the wild and also not to feed the wildlife.
Right, because bears are one thing that travel, and so your actions actually can affect your subdivision, folks down the road. Bear may travel a circuit of where they know a reliable food source is, and they'll remember, hey, there was a bird feeder over there that I got an easy meal. I just sat there and no one bothered me. And then they refill it every few days, right? So that bear will just keep coming back, and before long, that bear could lose its fear of humans. And that's the big one, is we want to keep that natural fear that wildlife have of humans. But the minute food is introduced, you totally are starting to erode that fear.
You won their heart.
You did.
So how should someone react? I mean, I'm assuming you see a bear eating out of the bird feeder, you're not going to go remove it right then and there with the bear there. What should someone do in that type of a situation right away?
Usually it takes a visit or two for someone to decide maybe this isn't something I enjoy anymore. The first time the bear shows up, it's neat. You might tell your friends, take pictures, post it. And then it starts coming back, maybe with more frequency. Maybe it's starting to damage things. Maybe it's broken down your bird feeder, breaking into a shed that you keep your bird seed in. It's just losing that fear. And so at that point is typically when we get the call. But it's hard to reverse all of those habits that have been created by that food source. So really getting that feeder down. So if someone's having trouble, we want to make sure that feeder's down. And then garbage. Garbage is the #2 because it's smelly. Folks might come up for the weekend and leave it out until garbage day, so it sits there for several days.
Right.
And bears love garbage. They can smell garbage. It attracts them in, and we all have garbage. So keeping it buttoned up within a garage or a shed, somewhere that is locked up until that morning of pickup. If you're not around here all the time, maybe you can get a neighbor for help or someone that puts that garbage out the morning of. If you have a dumpster, make sure that it's getting emptied weekly, if not more, because you think of that smell, it's just going to lure in bears. And then we've created a habit we really can't reverse.
You tell all their friends, and then you have more than one.
Yeah. So the other thing is noise too.
Okay.
So if a bear comes into your property and he's getting a belly full of food and a serene atmosphere, he's just going to keep coming back. So if you see a bear, you have all that food source gone, I hope, you just make noise. If you have a key fob, like your alarm to your car, or you could honk the horn, clap your hands, holler at it. Empty belly and getting harassed, he'll move on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how does the DNR, or maybe your division specifically, go into creating awareness for people to, know these types of things?
That's a good one. So we have a YouTube video that we developed a couple years ago about living with black bear, because the bird feeder message isn't any different than what we've always been saying, but a new method of trying to get our messages out. And with YouTube, we can hit thousands of people instantly with our messages. So we do YouTube videos, we do education programs in the schools. We're actually putting up some billboards in some parts of the state about helping your community, helping others. And, because what I wanted to say with that more is the part about helping your community, you might not mind seeing that bear come every night, but several doors down there could be people with kids or pets or someone else that is affected, and maybe they've done everything they could to keep bear off their property, but they're coming right across to your bird feeder.
Right. And then they're just comfortable in that community and they might spread?
Yeah, you're just affecting others. So,
yeah. So what would you say, maybe a website or just anywhere that people could watch that video so that they can hopefully get some tips on how to react when they come across wildlife?
So at michigan.gov/DNR, we have our YouTube video link for all Michigan DNR YouTube videos, which we have quite a few of them up there. And then they could also go to michigan.gov/bear for just general bear awareness, learning more about their biology, when they have cubs, what they do when they have cubs, things like that. They can learn about that on the website too.
Awesome. So I'm assuming bears specifically are just a problem spring, summertime?
It can be, but the problem is once those habits have started, it'll just become an all summer long issue. So in the spring, when they're coming out of their den and they're looking for those good sources of food, that's when definitely have those feeders down, because it's easier, much easier to sit at your feeder than it is for them to go out digging in the swamp looking for food, and they're going to make that choice. But really, even as things start greening up, if they've created that habit, it's a lot easier to just sit at your feeder when you're filling it up every day.
I'm sure these can be big bears too, right?
Yeah, bear are a wild animal, and all wild animals should be keeping at a distance, and we want to keep that natural fear animals have of humans.
Right.
The other way we're also getting out information to folks is through our DNR email system.
Okay.
So people can sign up for that. We have over 1 million people we reach with all of our DNR emails, and that's also how we get email out to media, clubs, and just the individual.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great. Thank you so much for being here with me again, Katie. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And be sure not to go anywhere, because we'll be right back with more.